Extreme gore in a horror movie has the power to turn off even the most seasoned horror fans. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely mainstream horror movies that have thrived despite being filled with some vile stuff. Looking at you, Hostel, Evil Dead, and Hellraiser. But the thing that all of these movies have in common is that they have an entertaining plot and a cohesive narrative. Terrifier doesn't really have that going for it. And that's okay. Terrifier feels sort of out of nowhere and disjointed, but it does seem like the second one attempted to follow a narrative structure that made sense. Lauren Lavera acted her ass off to bring us the story of a teenage girl, Sienna, who was trying to find her strength and identity. She and her brother wanted to understand their deceased father and, more specifically, the lore behind Art the Clown. But the movie never fully realizes Art's story, so I'm not really sure why it was even included. It's fine that Leone wants to flesh out, no pun intended, such an iconic character. But again, that's not what happened, and it begs the question about whether or not Art needs to have a backstory in the first place. I think that's the natural progression of things, but I also think that the mystique of a horror character that lacks a backstory is really appealing. Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie reboot of Halloween getting a more realized backstory didn't make him scarier. Although it did help to understand his motivation, I just kind of like Michael being an aimless killing drone that acts on instinct. This didn't really make Rob Zombie's version bad or anything, it's just not something I believe was necessary. And the same goes for Art. Sienna could have just as easily not tried to develop Art's backstory, and the movie would have just been about her finding herself amidst the chaos. Anyway, that's not why we've gathered here today. It's actually the opposite. I want to instead talk to you about why Terrifier works so well. How the villain we didn't even know we needed, Art, has cemented himself as an icon of the horror genre. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to talk about is marketing. Viral marketing based on shock factor has long been a way to get people interested in a movie. Telling your potential viewers that someone fainted during a screening builds intrigue. You want to see why that person fainted. You want to be a part of that experience. It helps to spread the word about the movie's existence with something bombastic, making the experience unique and thus creating a sort of FOMO around seeing it. The bans in multiple countries also help to skyrocket interest in the movie. Nothing like the government telling you can't see this movie to build an audience of people who are even more interested. You don't want to be left out of the fun, do you? The best part about the marketing was that it wasn't a gimmick, it was everything that it said it was. It's important to note that guerrilla marketing doesn't always deliver on its promises. For instance, the marketing for Longlegs had everyone on the edge of their seats waiting for the movie's release. Micah Monroe's heart rate being recorded when she saw Cage for the first time in makeup had everyone drooling. They wanted to know what his character looked like. To see this larger-than-life actor play a role he's never played was exclusive, and the marketing promised excitement. They wanted to see for themselves what made Micah's heart rate spike. The use of socials helped to bolster the claims that the movie was incredible. Movie reviews from peers started to show up all over TikTok, which helped to really solidify that this movie was amazing and above all scary, terrifying even. After the release of Longlegs, some people said it was amazing, but others were specifically annoyed at the marketing, claiming the movie was overhyped. I have a personal opinion, but I'll save that for another video. You don't hear the same sentiment with Terrifier though. The marketing didn't make claims about being scary, really. The marketing told you that it'd make you want to throw up, and I haven't heard a single person say, well, it wasn't that gory, because it was that gory. When I saw Terrifier, I knew exactly what I was getting myself into, and so did everyone else, which can be a breath of fresh air. There are so many frustratingly great campaigns run on movies that end up being subpar. Some movies honestly seem solely reliant on these campaigns to get an audience interested, only to deliver on a movie that is either boring or a total misdirect. The misdirection usually comes in the form of marketing the film as something like a horror, but it's really a drama. Terrifier is great in that it knows what it is, it knows who it's for, and it's marketed as such. It's for gore hounds. And this is what leads me to my next point about why people like this movie, the gore. People like being shocked and being made to feel uncomfortable. This movie does a spectacular job inducing that feeling with its gore factor. I do want to reiterate that gore is not something that a lot of people like per se, but there are people who love it, and for those that do, there aren't a lot of mainstream movies. No one wants to continue to slink through the depths of hell to watch the type of movies they enjoy. I mean, you could always catch some spooky race here on YouTube to give you the lowdown on the most messed up films, especially if you're squeamish. But ultimately, it's probably nice to be able to sit down in a movie theater and watch something as insane as Terrifier. It arguably hits harder to watch something so masochistic in a theater with other people. There is something adrenaline-inducing about sitting with a bunch of strangers and watching art pour salt into a girl's wounds while she's still alive. It's pretty spicy. It's a forbidden fruit that people sometimes like to engage in, and to be able to experience it so openly might be appealing. Terrifier, in particular, is not your typical horror movie gore, at least not for mainstream horror. I think we can all agree that art takes his, art a bit further than most. We linger for an uncomfortably long time on gory scenes that other movies might cut away from to allow the audience to experience things with their own imagination. There isn't just one scene like this either. The entire movie is just one gruesome shot after the other. It's somewhat relentless in its expression, and the gore is very fully realized. Terrifier has some really outstanding makeup, and that's due in large part to Leone being a makeup effects artist. He is incredibly good with his craft, and I'm so excited that he has his own medium to express that creativity. His passion for art and the franchise really comes through the screen, right at you, in the bloodiest way possible. Moreover, the pain is all very pleasurable for art. This is the only point. There's no other point. He is unyielding and he likes suffering. He's not tortured like Michael or surprising like Jason. He's not entirely mythical like Freddy is either. Maybe Freddy being mythical is debatable. I'm not really sure. But he is not a tortured soul. He is a foreboding presence that just takes glee in your painful experience, period. If I could compare him to one horror movie entity, it would be Hellraiser, and Hellraiser is fantastically scary, so it's totally a compliment. Which leads me to the nextest of all points. Clowns are terrifying for the general public. Not me, but the general public is definitely scared of them. A clown is that it's supposed to be something that brings you joy and laughter, like a jester that is doing slapstick just for your personal amusement. It's the one time it's okay to laugh at someone and not with them, but they also have an uncanny appearance that puts people off. You can't quite put your finger on why they make you uncomfortable, but they definitely make you uncomfortable. Flower phobia probably got much worse when Gacy came along. Any semblance of hope that clowns had of maintaining a joyful and light appearance was whisked away pretty quickly when that guy came around. If you don't know, and you've been living under a rock, Gacy was a man who committed unspeakable crimes against young men and boys. He was a family man who looked by all means like a respectable member of his community. Unfortunately, he was also someone who did shows as a clown, and this masked appearance that Gacy was able to portray stuck with the clown persona he maintained. I mean, he's not exactly singularly responsible for the entire world being scared of clowns, but he sure didn't help. Scary clowns were a trope long before Gacy, though. Modern popular culture would probably point to Stephen King's It when addressing the fear of clowns. The clown in It represents a town that is purposefully ignorant to the things that go on in it. That's why the clown in It is so fitting. It helps to distract from and detract from societal problems. But Pennywise can have an appealing and unassuming appearance, unlike Art. You can just look at that dude and know you shouldn't mess with him. No kid is genuinely going up to Art the Clown with the promise of floating down in the sewers, you know what I mean? Clowns are also thought of as tricksters, though. Pranksters. They go around causing problems for people, and they do it under the guise of being silly, which can be pretty annoying and unnerving. They also embody the humanness of their vices. They like to indulge in the bad parts of their personality unabashedly, which in and of itself may not seem like a problem. It can be seen as the clown embracing humanity in its entirety. However, I think that the mask that the clown wears is what makes this a problem. You are embracing these parts of humanity with a mask on. The clown remains hidden and unseen while partaking in the bad things it does. These historical references make even more sense modern day when you think of how the media portrays clowns as indulgent and evil, while also not being able to expose themselves. It's also appealing to the viewer. Humanity is nothing if not hypocritical, and the clown is just a mirror to ourselves as a society. People rarely ever do bad things in the light, they do them in the dark so as not to be seen. Art represents an evil side, a side that enjoys partaking in things that are taboo, the weird, dark side that hopefully no one indulges within themselves. He is like some sort of primal entity that makes you feel insane. That's what makes him so interesting and attractive. He's the bad side of us, the bad side that likes to watch weird stuff, like people being sawed in half. I mean, at least at the end of the day, it's just a movie, right? Not like middle schoolers who would go on shock sites and see the real thing. So I'll take this over that instead. I want to hear from everyone else, though. Did you like Terrifier? Did you not like Terrifier? Was it too much? Was it just fine? I really do feel like this came out of absolutely nowhere and gained a cult following overnight, which I think is very cool. I think you can see that Leone loves the franchise, and I admire that passion so much. And if you've seen my M. Night video, you'd know how much I love passionate directors. So, are you going to see Terrifier 3 in theaters? Are you going to just watch it at home? I'm going this weekend to see it, and I'm pretty excited. Maybe I'll do a short or something on it and let you guys know how I feel about it. I think Leone tries to one-up himself every movie, and I just don't know how he's going to do that from the last one, because the last one was pretty insane. But I'm here for it. If he can do it, I'm here for it. I'm watching. I'm in the seat. So here's my money. That's all I have for you today. If you like the video, please like the video, subscribe for more content like this. I do episode breakdowns of From every week. I try to get a video out on either a movie or a TV show, some sort of analysis every week. I'm going to try and do twice a week from now on, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, subscribe, like, and I will see you next time. Bye.